Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we got some Pokemon slash Nintendo news, specifically regarding to the lawsuit that was filed last year, going after parties responsible for leaking Pokemon Sword and Shield info. The TLDR version of this is basically that a bunch of info, including Gigantamax forms, previously unrevealed Pokemon, and the regional decks were leaked prior to Swish's launch. And Nintendo, as an extension of the Pokemon Company, claims that said leaks caused irreparable damage to the brand. Thus, they are seeking compensation from those who leaked the game. Nintendo was also able to subpoena Discord and was able to uncover the main individual responsible, and they were linked back to a Portuguese gaming outlet called F Nintendo. We haven't been given an exact amount they are suing for, but according to official statements, the amount is to be determined in court. The situation has been covered at length already, but I want to sort of give my 2 cents on the whole situation with respect to not only Nintendo's lawsuit, but also given the divide amongst the community regarding it. Some are quick to say that Nintendo is just trying to squeeze as much cash out of Swish as possible, and others are saying that Nintendo is justified, as leaks can and probably did hurt their bottom line. Regardless of your opinion going into this video, I want everyone to keep an open mind moving forward and listen to the facts before arbitrarily siding with whichever side fits your own narrative. With all of that being said, this is a statement given directly from Nintendo. In early November, Nintendo identified a number of photographs taken from gameplay that revealed multiple new and unannounced Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Shield. These photographs had been posted online, and Nintendo, together with the Pokemon Company, quickly identified the person responsible for these leaks and took immediate action. These Pokemon were leaked by a reviewer for the Portuguese website F Nintendo, who had received an early copy of the game for review purposes. Both he and F Nintendo failed to handle the confidential material, resulting in a clear breach of the confidentiality agreement between Nintendo and the media outlet. As a result, Nintendo will no longer work with F Nintendo. Nintendo will always protect its intellectual property and brands. Leaks hurt not just Nintendo, but the thousands of employees who work hard to bring games to market and the millions of fans around the world who look forward to news and surprises. To surprise and delight players through new experience is a shared passion for Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. We will pursue all avenues to preserve surprises for players in future Pokemon titles. Now, first thing is first, we must keep in mind that a confidentiality agreement was broken, and Nintendo does have every right to go after those who break confidentiality. If Nintendo were to not go after F Nintendo civilly, it could actually be bad for Nintendo, as it would show others that Nintendo doesn't take breaking confidence seriously, and that may entice others to do the same without fear of repercussion. The fact that Nintendo is suing F Nintendo over confidentiality shouldn't really be up for debate, because I'm sure for Nintendo it's more about saving face than making a few bucks off a much smaller entity. I don't think that litigation for said breach should be controversial, as realistically Nintendo's hands are tied. If they sue, they're seen as greedy, and if they don't, they run the risk of more people screwing them over. F Nintendo also made a statement regarding the matter, and it reads as follows. In early November 2019, a series of photographs of a screen displaying images of several Pokemon at the time not yet announced from the Pokemon Sword and Shield games were shared online. We want to take this opportunity to openly admit to our readers that F Nintendo was responsible for the online dissemination of some of these photos. Nintendo offered us a copy of the game for analysis purposes with clear embargo guidelines, which we agreed. That copy was sent to one of our collaborators who improperly shared the photos mentioned. After the investigation, F Nintendo ended its relationship with that employee. Our relationship with Nintendo Portugal goes back 11 years, but our part in this undue sharing is a clear violation of our confidentiality agreement between us and, as a result, a total breach of trust with Nintendo. We recognize that it is inadmissible to violate with the embargo guidelines, and that we have not handled the materials for analysis with due care. We fully respect Nintendo's decision to cancel the confidentiality agreement between our companies as a result of this breach of trust, and accept that we will no longer receive Nintendo products or be invited to participate in its events. We want to apologize to Nintendo and the Pokemon Company as well as our readers for disappointing them. Of course, in a sense, the higher-ups at F Nintendo are kind of getting screwed here, and I sort of feel bad for them, as it was an employee that screwed the pooch on this one. It's really easy for someone to say, well, why didn't they vet the employee or watch him or whatever? But you can't really vet or keep an eye on someone 24/7 to see whether or not they're going to do something like this. So it does kind of suck. They are responsible at the end of the day, but it sucks for them. Okay, so I believe we've already established why Nintendo kind of has to go after F Nintendo for breaking contract, and I don't think that that's what people are having an issue with, at least not those who understand the point I previously outlined. I think the problem many people are having is that Nintendo is going after the leakers for damages. A lot of people are saying, hey, the game sucked. If anything, it saved people from wasting money, or that Game Freak was not transparent about how many Pokemon were cut. But unfortunately, whether you think it's scummy or not, they may actually have a case. I do think it's crappy that Game Freak didn't straight up tell us how many Pokemon were going to be cut from the game, or at least give us some type of idea. Yeah, it seems like they were hoping we'd find out after it was too late, but as much as I have issues with Pokemon right now due to the business model, that's what reviewers are for. Leaking the Pokedex or other surprises hiding in the game is in many ways similar to leaking movie spoilers. Sure, you might go to a movie and the movie might suck, but you're not really going to find that out whether or not it was actually good until you foot the bill or see a review. The problem here is that reviewers tend to be heavily influenced by the companies they review for. I mean, it's similar in the movie industry too. How many times have you seen a movie that have great critic reviews and then an awful user review? I don't know if it's that these people are out of touch or what, but it's really difficult for the average gamer or moviegoer to know what they're getting into. Now, I know what people are thinking. Movies are like $10, whereas Switch is $80 for each game. And I totally agree that there were many shady practices surrounding this game and business model that it was built upon. However, the law doesn't care about stuff like that. When this thing goes to trial, the judge will likely view it the same way, as I mentioned, like spoiling a movie plot or something to that degree. And seeing that many people wouldn't want to see a movie that was spoiled for them, he or she might very well rule in Nintendo's favor, as unless you're a gamer, the two mediums are similar. I'd argue that spoiling movie leaks is much worse than game leaks, as the main reason people go to see a movie is the story itself, whereas many people couldn't care less about the story of the video games they play. I know I never personally cared about the plot of the Pokemon games after Gen 5 as they just got dumber and dumber, but I don't think a judge will have an adequate knowledge of gaming as a whole to make that distinction. So the real question is, do I think Nintendo has incurred unrecoverable damages as a result of the leaks? It is hard to say. It's easy to say that they should have made the games good and this wouldn't be an issue. Every other generation has had leaks and no one really cared because they felt as though the games are adequate. But whether or not Swish was a good game is kind of irrelevant here. Swish has currently sold 16.06 million copies to this date, which means that it's already outsold Black and White, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Let's Go, Pokemon Platinum, ORAS, Emerald, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Crystal, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Pokemon Yellow. It's creeping up to games like Sun and Moon and Ruby and Sapphire with Godspeed, and I'm sure they'll be top 5 best-selling Pokemon games before the end of the year. Perhaps Nintendo feels as though Swish deserved more sales. I personally wholeheartedly disagree, and to be honest, I find it rather disheartening that such a lackluster product managed to make it this far. It's clear that Game Freak isn't going to learn its lesson, and the whole National Dex protest was for naught. I do have one final thing to say, and this is to those who were disappointed by Sword and Shield and were looking for another reason to be mad at Nintendo. Look, I get it. If you want to say they're being scummy for going after people for damages, then you guys can have that debate in the comments section. But you're not going to be able to win the debate of whether or not they have the right to do what they're doing. We can structure a separate debate about ethics, but the law is on Nintendo's side. And to be honest, freaking out over this one just gives the Sword and Shield shill crowd more ammunition. As a community, we should be able to come together and discuss things like this without it turning into a bloodbath. And that last point goes for both sides. Anyways, with all that being said, I'm curious to see people's take on this whole situation. Do you think Nintendo's being scummy, or are they justified in their actions? What are your thoughts on leaks in general? Love them? Hate them? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at GymLeaderEd, and until next time, peace.